Hello, welcome everyone. We are in the sixth episode of Healing from Ankylosis Spondylitis. Today I am with Edian.
Hi, namaste.
Namaste. I said properly your name this time?
Edian. Yeah, Edian.
Edian. I met Edian here in Orion. He's right now like the lead yoga teacher, one of the lead yoga teachers. He's giving a 200 hours yoga teacher training.
Yeah.
Right? And I joined one of his classes. It was absolutely amazing. I realized that he has so much knowledge about the body. I decided to invite him to talk about our bodies and how can we improve our flexibility and our mobility. I know that you are also have a lot of knowledge about Chinese medicine, from the physical body to our energetic bodies. How can we improve our relationship with our bodies in ways that we release stuck energy and we can improve our flexibility and reduce our pain? So I would like to start with something very simple.
Yeah.
Even like, why and how do we feel stiff and less flexible at the mornings? What can we do? We should fight? We should allow that to happen? What can we do to improve that?
Specifically in the morning, you're speaking.
Yeah. That's normal? Or
That's normal, yeah, that's normal. As during the night, there is no movement in the body as we are at rest, of course, and also blood flow is less. So technically what happened is the hydration of the fascia first, it's moving back to the extracellular matrix, and the fascia becomes like it's losing the glide, it's losing the ability to glide against different structure, losing the ability to glide once against another. And when we wake up in the morning, we feel a little bit like stiff. Also, I've heard about something like hydrogen bonds, like in the matrix of the fascia, in this kind of spider web. Yeah, there is like more hydrogen bonds that happens that when we wake up in the morning, we break them. So technically, we can say like what we want to do is to bring the glide back every morning. It's like you see even like every dog, every animal, when they start moving after a long time of resting, they stretch. They stretch. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, coming from it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
then, like
it.
finally it's that. So yeah, we all feel it. You know, it's like we call it pendulation. There is a word for it in English that I know. That when you wake up in the morning, like you're pendulating, you stretch yourself in order to find it, to bring that glide back, to feel like the body is like more hydrated, like in the fascia. And think about it like an engine. Like an engine during the nighttime, all the oil sinks down to the bottom of the engine. And when you start the engine, it takes some time until all the oil like start to spread in a more even way around the inside of the engine, yeah?
Yeah.
And until the engine start to get warm, and this is when the engine actually functions the best. So it's the same over here.
I see. And you mentioned about the fascias. I would like to know which is the role of fascias and different tissues in our body movement, because we want to reduce pain and to improve our flexibility. But we have a combination of different tissues. And sometimes I'm not sure like why I can't go farther. Like, is my muscle, is my joints, my bones? Like, can you explain a little bit?
Yes.
Can you explain me what are the different tissues and how they play together?
I think the best way to think about it is think about this structure or the anatomy of orange. If you take an orange, fascia is everywhere. The structure of the orange, if you take the orange and you transversely cut it, you will see like the outer skin, which is like call it the orange color, and then it turns to be like white. The white, we can already call it like the fascia. And then you go a little bit more deep, then there is the fruit inside where it contains the juice that we like to eat. So that's all by itself. It's also wrapped with some little fibers that, you know, bring structure to it.
Yeah.
Then
That
we
fibers
have
will be
also fascia.
also fascia.
Everything is fascia technically. Yeah, but just for the analogy. And then when we cut it, we have slices of the orange. And each slice is encased or enveloped by some membrane. And that membrane, for that matter, we can call it also fascia. And then inside that we have the pulps. And each pulp, if you will try very delicately to separate these pulps, each pulp by itself, it's a
Have another
membrane
layer.
and another, like we can call it also the fascia until you find the juice inside. Yeah. So in the body, it's like, it's kind of the same, just way more complex because our body is way more complex than an orange. Fascia is everywhere. Fascia is basically, if we want, today fasciandos, people who research after fascia, they consider that every tissue that is made of collagen and elastin and contains also ground substance, which is the hydration of the fascia, and a little bit more than that, is actually fascia. So when we say fascia, we speak about tendons, we speak about ligaments, we speak about all these like little membranes that encasing the muscle and what connect the muscle to the bone and what connect the muscle to the skin. And even beyond it, like in the eye, we have fascia. So even inside the eye, in the eyeball, we have fascia. So it's everywhere. 30% of our muscles is fascia. Like if you take the muscle itself, it's encased with a perimysium, and then if you go a little bit more deep, you have the endomysium and so on. So it's like it's going inside. Even like every fiber of muscle is like actually surrounded by a very thin layer of fascia that basically we cannot see it with our eye. Think like if you eat chicken, for example, if you have a cooked chicken and you take a fresh chicken before it's cooked and you separate the skin from it, you will see like very thin layers of like kind of membrane.
Yeah.
And then if you separate the muscle, you will see the same. So this is basically the fascia that we can see with our eyes. So at the same time, there is also within the muscle, which is, yeah. So if I would say it like that, if there would be like an advanced technology that I could take out of my body what is not fascia, you would see here a ghost. Because it's white, mostly fascia, it's kind of white, yellowish, yeah? So you will see like a ghost of me in my shape, in this face, yeah? Just a ghost.
Full of
me.
membranes.
Yeah, it's like full of like,
Very thin
it's a spider
tissues.
web. It's like a cotton candy, you know? It's
see.
It's like many like strands, like in a very different way, like connected. Some more thick, some more thin, some more dense, some more light. You know, it's like, yeah. So technically, this is fascia. Fascia is everywhere. To say that you stretch a muscle and you don't stretch fascia, it's wrong to say. When you stretch a muscle, you also stretch fascia. When you stretch
It's not
fascia,
possible to do it in another way.
No, it's interwoven together. It's like all interwoven together. Basically, we can say the muscles are actually pockets inside the fascia.
I see.
If the fascia is the suit that makes me, that suit that I'm wearing on my bones, yeah? And in this suit, there is approximately 600 pockets, 600 muscles that allows these bones to move, yeah, and this body to function in the space.
Wow, this is much more impressive than what I was expecting about the fascia. So in reality, the fascias is almost like a fractal. Like
Yeah.
there are multi-layers of fascias that will be like this white ghost that you described.
Yeah.
So it's not. I was thinking that maybe the fascia is just like around the arm, like behind the skin, but no, it's in every.
It's within the skin,
Wow.
connecting the skin to the muscles, muscles to the bones, connecting our visceral organs together, keep them in place. It's what brings structure to everything.
What's the role? No, because I love the exercise that you do about subtracting the fascias. Let's imagine that, no? Actually, one in a museum, I see one human, only the nervous system.
Yeah.
Like they did that. It's quite impressive to see that.
Yeah.
So imagine that you see that with the fascia, no? And you have the fascias. What is the role of the fascias? Is the fascias connected with the nervous system? can we move the fascias, or
That's
the
a good
fascias are
question.
moved by the muscles?
First, I would like to just expand a little bit more
Okay.
about what I said before. We have three kinds of fascia. Um, superficial fascia, which is from the skin to the muscles. We have the deep fascia, which is from the muscles to the bones. And we have visceral fascia, which is what holding our organs together. Now, what was your question?
Yeah, so we have this, you say these three layers, it's very interesting to understand. Organs, muscle to bone, skin to muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, if we take all these fascias, like what is the role of these fascias?
Okay.
Are they, and also if they are dynamic, like they are like muscles that we can move, or they are not related, they
Let's-
can't do
let-
movement by themselves?
No, the fascia is not voluntarily tissue. You cannot make fascia move like the way you make muscle move.
Okay.
Muscle is voluntarily. You send order for your brain through the nervous system. You ask the muscle to flex, tack, the fingers are closed. So, but the fascia is what helps the fingers to close. It's not that you move the fascia, you move the muscles within the fascia, that the muscles moving the fascia to result in end movement.
Okay.
So, in other words, we can say, if I would have to put it like, what's the role of the fascia in the body in the most probably brief way that I can bring it? First, until not so long ago, like fascia was only a connective tissue. In dissections rooms of, basements of universities until, I don't know, a few decades ago probably, they just used to take the fascia, the white stuff, and throw it away and go investigate like more interesting tissues like liver, muscles, etc., etc. But slowly, like after a lot of research, and they start to understand that there is more to learn about the fascia and not just to throw it away. And some people start to learn about it, some scientists and anatomists, they start to learn about it. And they found that the fascia has much more role than what we used to think. So if you ask briefly most of the people, like let's say the average people who doesn't have any interest in it, they might ask them, they will tell you like, yeah, it's a connective tissue. As much as fascia is a connective tissue, it's true it's connecting all the body together. At the same time, it's separating the body apart. So as much as it's like connecting a muscle to muscle, it's also allow it to be separated and to move once against another. So it's supported. It support the structure, as I said. If we will take like a lever, if there would be like again, the technology that we could take the fascia out of the liver would fall down into a puddle of blood. Yeah, it wouldn't hold the structure. It would
Yeah.
all like fall down.
It's like the container,
It is
somehow.
a container, yeah.
Like a condom?
It is a container.
like a preservative, where you put all the things inside, no?
Yeah, we
Or the
can
glass,
say-
like without the fascia, everything, even like, for example, maybe the shape of the muscles, without the fascias, they will have other shapes, or no?
Uh,
They are creating like
according
some
to-
type of tension,
According
or
to what I heard, it's true. Yeah, if you would take the fascia out of the muscle, they would change shape, they would change structure, because what makes them hold the structure of bicep to be bicep, and so it's like, it's the fascia also.
well,
So fascia also separates, fascia also connects. Fascia envelope everything. When you said about the nervous system, every neuron that runs in our body
also
is
fascia.
actually encased, like enveloped with fascia. Every blood vessels and also encased by fascia. So it's
like
also
the
supports
surface of
that.
everything.
Yeah. Now, on the fascia, there are, this is as I read somewhere, of course. I'm not a scientist, I'm just a geek of anatomy. Yeah. But as I read somewhere, I've read that on the fascia, there are 6 times more nerve ends than within the muscles. So the fascia it makes the fascia also a sensory organ, yeah, that we can sense things through it. Like the chemoreceptors and some other types of receptors, nausea receptors, which they detect pain, and some other kinds of receptors. that they are detecting and from the fascia and sending signal to the brain, basically. Like one of them, we can say it's a proprioceptor. It's seated on the tendon considered to be fascia too. So it's helps us to understand the orientation of our body in the space by detecting the tension we apply on a tendon. Yeah.
It's
So
like having millions of sensors all around the body, checking different
yeah,
tensions in every
yeah.
direction to predict, like to understand, like your
Yeah,
body
all these
position.
signals going to the brain finally, and this is how we draw picture of reality of our body in the space.
Wow, this is so interesting. When you say this, like I have two branches that I would like to explore.
Okay.
One is in terms of pain, the other one is in terms of mobility, because you said that it's connected with the nervous system, like we have more nerves. So, but let's go first with mobility. How much do you think, like, what percentage of our limits in our body movement, or, or answer in the way that it feels more comfortable for you, but what percentage in the limits that we find in our body movement can be related with our fascias? There are ways to understand if our limits in range of motions are connected to the joint itself, or to the muscles, or to the fascias,
Well, there is
where
a
normally people have problems, you know?
yeah. First, there is like a general calculation for like what limits movement or mobility. Um, I can't remember the exact numbers of it, but briefly, I can say that first, ev- every organ that we speak about, whether if it's like a muscle, bones, joints, like, well, this is not organs, but this is like structures within our body. Skin, it's an organ.
Yeah.
Skin, for example, is limiting mobility by 2%, while joints limiting mobility. If I remember, don't quote me for that.
Okay.
Around the 40%,
Okay.
yeah, like 40% of our mobility limitations are actually by the joints. And I can't remember how much is by the muscles. It's something also like it's quite a high number. I think
Okay.
like somewhere around the 30 or 40% too, which is like by depends on the stiffness of our muscles and the fascia, the connective tissue, it's connecting everything. This is also limiting our mobility. So, as I said, everything is fascia. It just depends on the fascia. Some parts of the fascia, for example, like tendon, will be much hard and more stiff and more elastic than skin. Yeah,
Yeah.
skin is more soft. Yeah, so it all depends about what part of the fascia are we talking about. That will result in how much it's limiting our movement.
You know,
But let's say in general, the thing that limits our movement the most is our mind and lifestyle.
I see.
The less we move, the less mobile we are. The more we move, the more mobility we will find.
Because there is a way to know. Sometimes I am doing some positions, and the experience, the feeling, the sensation that I am receiving, like, okay, this is my limit, can be quite different. For example, when I am doing like a frontal, like trying to touch my toes, normally I feel my hamstrings.
Yeah.
Like I really feel like there is a big rubber band, not flexible, and tight as fuck.
Yeah.
But there are other movements where I feel, for example, if I go with my knees to like here, no? If
Yeah.
I go here and I lay down, I
And you
I
lay
feel
down back.
and I lay down back. I feel extension also on rubber bands, but I feel more the pain at the knee
Yeah.
itself. Like
Yeah, it's really
the
stretching the knee. Even if you look at your knees, if you take a camera and you will look at your knees when you lay down, you will see how the skin is expanded and spreaded like that. Yeah.
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 So there are ways that we can understand. I don't know if this makes sense. Like which is our limit? Like because it's not the same being so limited in the joints. Maybe that being so more limited in my muscles, or it doesn't make sense to divide this when we want to
First,
increase our flexibility.
first, there, well, different bodies, different structures, different limitations. So you can see like a rubber girl from the circus doing crazy stuff, and probably she also lived the practice that she is investing on herself to be like that flexible. She probably also, maybe she also born like very flexible with the genetic to be more flexible, and her joint range of motion is higher than maybe like say the average man. And you can see like, for example, like take a very like big man with big bones, talking about wide bones,
Yeah.
yeah. There, these people might have, because the bones are even bigger, you know, like that can be like the, can result that their joints will be more limited in range of motion. The angles that they can open the joint will be less than the first example of the girl, you
I
know.
see.
Now, this is in terms of joint limitation. There is a time when we are like stretching, and there is like bone compression. When bone coming against bone, you cannot do anything about it. That's it. It's the end. So you know that, like for example, when I'm extending my elbow like that, so the olecranon, this is a part here of the elbows, like is compressing against the humerus bone, and this is the
There
end
is
of
not too
it.
much.
There is the end of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, technically it's the end
But
of
there
it.
are some people that naturally, my cousin,
Have
uh,
like
he
hyperextension.
have hyperextension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be. So it depends also about bone structure and also about tissues texture, yeah, and what they do in their life. And it's like it's a combination. It's a calculation of like genetics, what you do in your life, and what you do in your life in terms of like practice and lifestyle of movement, and what you do in terms of lifestyle of like consumption, like whether what you eat, how you sleep, and yeah, like what kind of lifestyle you live.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. And in terms, so let me see if I understand something here. You say that in terms of joint limitation, if you have thin bones, like a girl, imagine I am thinking about a girl that is skinny and tall. Like she have long bones and thin. So that will be beneficial in terms, like probably she will have more range of motion than someone that is short with thick bones. No, I'm thinking like a man, like not in all
It's,
cases,
I
but
cannot say precisely. I don't really understand it by I think in some cases I want to say yes, in some cases maybe
it's not the
not.
case.
But it's not only that, it can be also like finally the muscles and the tendons
I see.
mainly, maybe also some the ligaments, yeah. It's all of that like ligament connecting bone to bone, tendon
Yeah.
connect muscle to bone. So the texture of these tissues like also will result in how flexible someone can be.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
It's quite hard. I'm not that prominent in it, like proficient in it, but yeah, for my poor understanding, this is as far as I can imagine, as I can understand like the biomechanics here.
Okay. And what is when I am doing, for example, training like to gain muscle, there are some benchmarks about how much muscle you can win or how much weight you can lose in a week or in a month. So you can use that benchmarks to to understand if you are approaching winning muscles or losing weight in an effective way. In terms of flexibility and mobility, I am not very sure what is a what will be a healthy expectation for someone
Oh.
that is training. What is a normal speed? Like I know, for example, that you can't win 10 kilos of muscle in one day. Like no one do that.
No.
You can win 10 kilos in 3 months if you train really good. You
I
know,
see.
how will be that in terms of flexibility?
That's a good question. I never came across such a calculation like that. I believe there are more research about gaining muscles than building flexibility.
Yeah,
Um, but
from your observation or even your
from the
own
way
body.
I know it, well, in the fascia has properties, and one of the properties is fascia remodeling. It's the way the fascia remodel itself according to the demands of the body. So that's actually alluding us that the movement that we do every day will finally improve our movement in this way. So if you do back bend every day, obviously at some point, maybe it takes few years, but at some point your back bends will improve. If you don't do forward folds, you know, so your forward fold will be a little bit more poor. If you sit all day, the fascia will slowly start to get very stiff around the hips and lower back to facilitate the fact that someone sit 12 hours per day, yeah? So the fascia is like adapting itself to our needs, to the input that we are doing. The fascia always like, it, in other words, think about it like as a as a system by itself that always picking up information from us, from what we are doing. If I'm going to do yoga every day, so probably I will find more flexibility. If I'm going to do gym every day, this is less, I mean, it's finally also affecting the fascia, but the fascia will become more stiff. However, you will have maybe a bigger muscles and all of that. Technically, they say the fascia remodeling, the fascia made of collagen fibers. This is like the building bricks of it. It's like if you have a building, the iron inside, this is like, we can say it like the fascia of the building in a way, okay? Which is like everything connected to it, yeah? Or disconnecting everything else around. So these collagen fibers, they remodel. You have like fibroblast over there in the fascia, which they are producing more collagen, and they build it in building the fibers. And the same way they can also unbuild it, yeah, like make it like shorter or whatever. So about 25% of these collagen fibers will remodel within 6 months. 75% within 2 years. So this is like a very rough average like estimation of like of, you know, some people are more, as you know, some people get flexible faster, some people sure it takes them longer time. So but this is kind of give us like a picture of like, okay, flexibility is going to take me some time
takes
to build.
time, right?
It takes time. You see, it's here between like the 6 months to 2 years, and you just touch and you just remodel like 75% of these collagen fibers. Now it also depends what else you're doing. If you're doing yoga 4 times a week, or maybe 6 times a week, let's say you do 6 times per week yoga, and this is everything you do, and every day you invest like 2 hours in it. After, obviously, within like 2 years, you will be very flexible. But let's say if you're doing like 4 times yoga and 2 or 3 times you run, or 2 times you run and 1 time you go to the gym to lift dumbbells, well, obviously your progress will be slower. On the other hand, you will still preserve more strength, yeah, and more other endurance of running, and
Yeah.
you know, and so on. So, yeah, it's like how many things we put on the hot water and how much we turn on the gas.
Yeah.
This is like will be the result of our that will determine our results, how fast they will come.
But what I see here is that even though you put full focus into flexibility, imagine you do 3-4 hours per day. In 1 month, there is not so much to gain, no? I mean, you imagine, let's say, doing a split. That right now maybe my angle is around this, around, I don't know, 120 degrees, let's say. Like in 1 month, I will improve for sure. No, because if I am not training and I start training, I will improve. But going to a full split in 1 month, like, it's not a normal reaction of the body. Like, we maybe taking into account what you say, 6 months or 2 years will be more realistic.
I want to say, and also probably more healthy. Finally, it's tissues within the body that we are trying to manipulate towards our goals or our desires, or yeah.
It can be a lot
I've
of
heard
stress.
about, you know, like I even saw it like in the social media, frankly speaking, I saw in the social media like advertisements of people like, hey, you can gain like your middle split within a month, just do this and that. Well, I have to say it's quite hard for me to agree with it in a way. Maybe you can. I don't know how healthy it will be. There is high risk of injury also. I came across a meta-analysis of 250 researchers that happened in Italy in 2018 that says that if we want to build flexibility, we need to be consistent between the 5 to 6 times per week, and they say over there about 1 minute per group of muscle to stretch. No less than 5 minutes per week, no more than 10 minutes per week. And
For every muscle?
Yeah, for every group of muscle. For example, hamstrings, so do 10 minutes per week, spread it over like 5-6 times, yeah? They found that people who've done more than that, they didn't gain more flexibility. So that's interesting to see, you know?
Yeah, this happen, I think this happen also when you win muscle. Like, if you see the amount of effort that you put and the impact that you are having, the results, like normally at the beginning you have, with little effort, you get results. And there is a point where double of the effort is not going to be double of the results. So you start, like the line start to become flat somehow, no?
There is finally the building, the true building of it, like the true results that we are seeking happening during the recovery time. So if I increase efforts, let's say if I'm practicing like 5 times a week in the gym, and out of these 5 times I will exert my energy of like certain area of my body. Let's say every day I will do arms and arms and arms. Well, what can I tell you? When we speak about it from points of science, sometimes it feels like, okay, it's not the right thing to do. You have to take time for recovery. It's during the recovery that we are really growing. I think it matters of age the most. Okay, sorry. So if I have to say it like that. Our efforts depends also on our ability to recover. If you're young, 20 years old, your recovery is very fast. It's actually the best time of your life to grow. From the teenage towards the 20s, this is like, I think, the best time. This is like when we have the fastest metabolism and also the ability to grow when we sleep with the mechanisms of the body to recover are at its best in our life. Speaking from my age, I can say that, yeah, I can feel like in the last 5 years, I see that I slowed down.
How old are you?
41.
41.
Yeah. And in the last 5 years, I can see that slowly things start to slow down. I go to do like intense practice. I go to there, like really like I'm staying like at the gym for like 3 hours. And, you know, whatever I do usually yoga, movement. I don't really lift dumbbells, but still like I'm really like pushing myself all the way to the end. And then the day later, I go and I do yin yoga, you know, I just like relax.
Yeah, you need to recover.
Yeah, I need time to recover. But if that would happen like when I was like 21 or 22, I would probably be able to do this intense practice at least 3-4 times a week.
I see.
You understand? So the recovery over there is faster.
Your cycle of training, recovery will be faster. Like
when you're younger.
When you are younger.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Fully recovering.
Absolutely, yes.
You see.
It doesn't mean that, that sometimes can feel like demotivating for like, let's say, older people. Don't take it like that, because even with the rhythm of with a slow rhythm of recovery, it's just slower than what it was. It's still like good, you know, like, and if you will keep moving all the time, your body starts to learn that it needs to recover more often and more often. So it will probably speed up a little, but still.
Age is going to be the main factor for that.
Yeah, age is the main factor.
But you know, I think that's realistic to understand. And the most important thing sometimes is also be able to stop aging. Like if you are able to improve faster, that how your age is bringing you down, you can become at least stable, you know? Like,
yeah.
So I think that's something that I have seen in people that they start doing exercise when they are 50. And you can see that even though they start under 50, they can maintain more or less that level. You know, improve and maintain. Maybe if I am younger, if I start like me, I start quite young. doing exercise. When I am 50, I will be in a better condition.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
So I can say it also, like being 41, I'm practicing yoga for 10 years, nearly 10 years. And before that, I used to do just like regular gym and running. I was not that consistent, but I was quite consistent to the average people, I would say. I used to go like at least 3 to 4 times per week. And since the age of 19 until I started yoga when I was like around 32, I would say there were maybe short periods when I didn't go to the gym at all, but most of the time I used to go. Now, when I started yoga at the age of 32, slowly I left the gym. Within like 6 months actually, I left the gym completely and I went to yoga. When I started, I couldn't touch the floor. And I was just consistent with it. And
Really, at that moment you couldn't touch your toes?
I couldn't touch my toes.
Wow, I have seen your flexibility now, and now it's far from that.
I can
Improve a lot.
say, yeah, it improved. It improved a lot.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and can do like, I would say, quite intense flexibility, let's say, to the average man,
Yeah.
in a way. So when I started with that, I could see like how I build the flexibility. I lost my point.
Well, no, that we were talking about age and the different, but I want to ask you something specific.
Yeah.
Because also if someone have some age, like they cannot change it already. Like whatever the age they have is the one that they have.
Yeah, that's what you have. You have what you have and that's what you do. Oh, I got my point back. Okay. So it goes like that. I can say it like that. I just did gym, but it was not like really athletic. It was mostly like pumping the muscle to keep some game. I was always skinny, so it was like pumping the muscles to be like more fit, to look more good, more
look
like
more
body.
sexy.
Yeah, kind of like that,
Yeah,
you know. Otherwise, I would look like a raisin, So this is like, I would say, in terms of what I know today as fitness, I was not fit. And plus on top of that, I was smoking. I was smoking cigarettes and weed for 26 years. Nowadays, I can say through the yoga practice, it just happened, because I like movement and I like more using the body. I can see that like within these 9 years of practicing, 10 years of practicing yoga, within the last 5 years, let's say 4 years, I really see how I slowly, I really improved my athletic performance. Not only by yoga, I went back to run. Today I'm also running. I see how my heart function. I see like also a better improvement. So even though I'm growing older,
You are performing better than
quit
before.
smoking and taking like more call it like a regular practice. My regimen is better. Like my plan of doing alternating between yoga, strength, running. What else I'm doing, like handstands, all this kind of stuff. Like I can see like how slowly, wow, I become like, I don't want to be arrogant or something, not athlete, but semi-athlete or something like that,
For
like
sure.
I can do things today that
What's
I
the most
couldn't
crazy?
do.
What's the most crazy thing that you can do today that you will never expect you will be able to do that
Well,
10 years ago?
I never thought I would be able to reach back bend when I'm holding like that and doing handstand with back bend and flipping backward and, doing this kind of stuff. Like, just like a simple like that, like a week ago or something, I posted like a picture of like a handstand that took me like long time to achieve. And when I looked at that, I told myself, oh, I can't believe it. Like I'm 41 and this is when I got it, when I'm 41. If you would take me 10 years backward and you would show me the picture, my picture, I would tell you, this is different life. I mean, this is not the same. I mean, we'll never be able to do it, never. But
It's possible.
consistency, being perseverance, it's like,
I think that's something that I really get also from the scientific papers that you were mentioning about flexibility, and I have seen that in my body. Many people, well, I am not as fit as you. Like, one thing is in terms of my muscles, but in terms of general fitness, I consider you are more fit than me, taking into account your balance capabilities and your flexibility capabilities. That are two areas that I can improve more. But I forgot what I was thinking. That many people sometimes ask me, like, how do you train? Like, how do you do it to have good muscles, you know? And I don't think like the technique is important, but the most important thing is consistency. I do
Above everything is
above
consistency.
I mean,
It's
if
above
you do
everything.
it shitty technique, but you have to be a fucking disaster to do something so bad, you know, that is not going to bring you improvement and that is going to destroy you. It can happen.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get some basic knowledge. But once you have it, I mean, if you do sun salutations every day for 1 year, you will improve, you know?
If I will give someone who doesn't know how to cook, ask him to cook pasta. So the first time he will make pasta will be probably shitty pasta, let's say it like that. The second time, maybe still not that good, you know, but along the time, if this guy will continue to cook pasta, finally, if he will really be consistent and doing everyday pasta, the same recipe, he will slowly learn it. He will learn the process of it.
Yeah.
As long as you are like really have interest in it and you come to it with sense of involvement in your craft and in your doing, be like present over there, especially when it comes like beyond like I'm doing it to look good. I'm doing it like really to learn, to explore, because behind every movement that we do, even lifting a dumbbell, yeah, it can look like sometimes so boring, but if we go deep to the sensation and to the range of motion and to the slow or fast, or there's so much information over there that if we really try to find depth with it, we will find more skills with the same thing, like even like such as, let's say, like the most simple thing, like
Meditation.
like a bicep curl
Or meditation.
you will be able to improve your bicep abilities just because you're so involved with it, compared to just doing it like that because you want to pump it. Yeah. Meditation is the same.
It's such a simple thing, and every time you sit down and you do the same,
Yeah.
and every time you do it, you can get something new if you
Yeah.
are there and you really pay attention.
So this is
Yeah.
mind. Mind is like the ocean.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like this is really like, I would say this is a really limitless aspect of life, you know, like physics, even though it's still like I would call it like physics, it's like has depth like probably as the Mediterranean Sea, but the mind has depth as like the Pacific Ocean.
or
you
the
know?
space.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, this is
true.
crazy.
That's
like,
true.
yeah. But if we really find it, we can, you know, like we can just be consistent, go every day, slowly, you will learn the movement better and better. And within 2 years, you will do it better. And within 10 years, like doing the same thing, obviously you will be able to do it better.
And I want to, it came something to my mind, because consistency is key. They say, as you say, that we need to train 5-6 times or even every day a little bit, no? For flexibility. That will be healthy and good for us. So I am thinking, what is something that we do absolutely consistently without thinking about it? Our life. Like our lifestyle, we do it every day, consistently, without thinking about it. So what are the things in our lifestyle that can be non-beneficial for our flexibility? Like, if you have to mention things that are killing, you know, negative instead of positive, there are some, because we are doing that 23 hours per day whenever we are not training.
Lack of movement, I think this is number one, I guess.
Like sedentarism.
I want to say, like sitting, being sedentary.
Yeah.
The lifestyle that we have created today, we have so much comfort. We have like genie over here, whatever wish you have, it makes for you, you know. So, and money, of course, if you have the money, you can sit all day and do nothing. And
Order
yeah, you
pizza.
will lose all the ability to move. Yeah, and this is called fascia adhesions. Adhesions, it's like something which is glued or attached one to another thing. So the fascia slowly start ad- to create adhesions between structure to structure, and then like before we were speaking about the glide and the ability to the fascia to glide and allow structures to glide once against another. So the more sedentary we are, the fascia glide is lacking, and the structure doesn't want to move because it's always sitting. We were born to move. Movement is medicine.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I feel when you say that, I feel, and I'm sure someone watching this right now will feel the same. Like, for example, me, since I am 12, well, in the school, you are all the time sitting down. In the school. Since I am 12, I love computers. So I have been using computers so much. And when I was 18, I started working professionally. And I work with a computer. Now I am 29. Like the amount of hours that I am sitting down or laying down when I am sleeping is almost all my day. When I am eating, I am sitting down. Like the amount of time that I am technically moving is when I am training. I'm very little more than that. You know, some, but not much more because my work or my way of living, like normally, I am not moving. So I feel like
It doesn't look so much, to be honest. When I look at your body, you look like a mover. You look like
because
you look very fit.
because I move, but I move effectively. Like not so much time, you know. I move effectively because if you understand my lifestyle, it's not like that. So and actually I have restrictions in my hips. I have limitations in my lower back. That are the things that you mentioned that where our fascias will collapse more if we are sitting down. And my hamstrings, like that are my weak, my worst points in the body. So I don't know. There is something. So basically, it's trying not to sit down so much, no?
You know, as much as I don't wanna I don't wanna make anyone feel bad,
No, no.
but if we will go to the yoga mat every day and start to move, not in terms to do yoga, just to find like better mobility and flexibility, and do it every day, we will be better in movement. If I will sit every day on my bed and eating Pringles and watching Netflix, I will be better in eating Pringles and watching Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it goes that way or it goes that way. Which
Yeah.
way do you choose? So how do you maintain the balance? It's okay. I don't demonizing sitting and watching Netflix. I do it also, but how much time you give to that versus that, or for people who work, I understand this is like a little bit more harder calculation. You bring money from it. You maintain your life from it. So still, if your lifestyle, if the way you're supporting your life financially is by sitting on the computer, well, I highly recommend. It's enough that you take like 1 hour per day, 2 hours per day.
For moving.
2 hours per day, it's like above the average already. Yeah,
Yeah.
for moving. Yeah, just to move. And when you sit, and sometimes I better believe you do it today. Like I see, maybe all these people who work on the computer, so they stand up, they have like different chairs, they move around, they take like breaks,
Yeah.
they stretch themselves. Meanwhile, that will help.
Yeah.
That will help. Even these like like these 2 minutes every, I would like to say like 2 minutes every 60 minutes that you see, just move a little bit around. That will make difference.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there is also the factor of like
Maybe,
how you sleep
look, I
and
want
how
to
you
put,
eat.
I want to put you an example because you mentioned before that the fascias can or the body can be like an engine, right?
Engine, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking, imagine that we have an engine that every 30 minutes you turn on only for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Only 1 minute, eh? You
That's what we're doing,
that
like
engine will be perfect.
exactly. I mean,
Even
if you
the,
take your car and you just put it over there, and now you take a travel around the world for 1 year, when you will be back, your car will not be the same. Highly likely you will not be able to turn on the car. Otherwise, it's a really brand new car, but still the brand new car within 1 year standing, it will not function as it was at the first time. So everything degrading. Everything needs some movement. Yeah. It's the same with our body.
Yeah, and I highlight this to understand better. I will research better because I think it's as important to understand what are the things that are beneficial to understand what are the things that are going in the other direction. You know, what are the things that are being toxic? Because you can be, I don't know, I can be putting hydration lotion to my skin 1 hour per day. But if I am in the fucking desert having 10 hours of sun every day, like, it doesn't make too much sense. Like, check what are you doing that is destroying you. And I really resonate that sedentarism is killing us. Like, it's not the normal way of being. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be the cause of all your pains, but it's not the harmonical way of functioning of our body.
No.
But the things that our body seeks or is looking for comfort. We like comfort. And now in 2024, we have a lot of comfort. You know, we can, as you say, we can from the phone order food or play music or, I don't know, just sitting down in something that is soft. So we prefer to do that, you know?
This
but
is the
then
rational mind.
that's, yeah, but somehow pushing a little bit that discomfort, no? There are, and this brings me to one question that I want to make you. In terms of when we are doing exercise, how much discomfort, or as you say, the sweet spot, is the good range? How much discomfort should we be looking for? Such in a way that we don't have, like, we don't have injuries, but at the same time, we improve at a good speed.
I would like to say, you know, it's the way I see it as a yoga teacher, and I see newcomers to the yoga world, and you know they're very stiff, and how much discomfort they should take on them. Well, I want to say that if we really came from life, sedentary life, where we have not, just like the pasta example, we never cooked pasta, so we never stretched, and we don't really know how it should feel like. I can see it by students, yeah, that when I speak with them, that they are mixing between different sensations in the body, like sensation of muscle engagement or sensation of muscle stretch or compression or elongation. You know, every small thing that we move with our body have sensation, and every movement has a little bit different type of sensation. Yeah, and that sensation is actually the way of our body speaking with us. So we always speak yoga connects mind to body. You know, it's like body mind connection, body muscle mind muscle connection. I think someone who is a newcomer probably has some poor judgment about it. Still, they do have, because they live in this body. Yeah, compared to a dancer who all their life use their body and they know already, like, every small sensation, they know exactly what it is, you know. So if I have to put it by percentage, which probably be the best way maybe I can give, I would say go towards the 70-80% of sensation. It means that it's a place where you can still breathe, you still have discomfort, while you still have discomfort. So you don't want to be underdoer, you don't want to be overdoer. Let's say 100% is like you stretch so much with so great pain with a high risk of injury. It's not necessarily mean that you will have injury, but the risk is very great.
Amazing.
So we want to be like, because we already explained that this is about consistency. It's not about the intensity.
Yeah, so it's better.
It's also about the intensity, but it's more about the consistency than the intensity itself.
If you have an injury, you will
Yeah.
lose a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
For months.
There you go.
Yeah.
So keep being consistent. Do the intensity for somewhere around the 70%. Now, something I would like to say is that there is something called stretch tolerance, which this is actually what signals pain to the brain. Yeah, I mean signals the length of it, and the brain like calculate it and give us again picture of like reality, and that's actually, oh, I have pain. So if we move towards the discomfort, we can still breathe there. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, especially at the beginning when you're stiff. When you're stiff, this is probably the most painful part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not considering those who have ankylosis spondylitis.
Yeah.
That will be like
that even more
double
because
or
it's also
triple.
inflamed.
Oh my God.
It's also inflamed.
Yeah.
So also in that matter, probably you need to do maybe to my lack of understanding. Yeah, I just think about because ankylosis spondylitis it's including inflammation.
But from what I talked with with Fernando, he's a guru of moving joints, and he have AS also, ankylosis spondylitis. He encouraged to go beyond pain. Like pain is a sensation. Actually, I'm very curious about what you say about how pain is created by the brain, because you mentioned that it's the brain who is giving like the final decision of what it means, that signal.
The intensity of the pain.
Yeah. So something happens similar in our bodies where we have signals, but it's the brain who finally say like, okay, this is 7 out of 10 of pain, or 5,
Yeah.
and then you can, if you get used to, maybe the relative feeling is lower. So for us, our pain is normally in a fear state. So signals are normally interpreted as more risky as what they really are in terms of structure, compared with other humans that normally when they have pain is because there is a structural problem.
I see.
In our case, we can play with going beyond the discomfort. I mean, and
To
I'm
a
saying,
pain,
and
to
I'm
something-
saying this.
You mean like more intense?
Yeah, and I'm saying this. Do whatever you want. Like for anyone, I don't take any responsibility of whatever you do with your body. But that's what I am researching and what I am finding. It's like there is a lot of gap between where you feel the pain and when you can have a problem with your structure. A lot of space. Yeah.
Well, finally, if we tolerate the pain, we learn how to tolerate the pain. I mean, there is 2 factors over here as far as I can see. One is the pain tolerance, pain that we feel, the pain sensation, the discomfort or pain sensation. The second thing is like really the elongation of the muscle and the connective tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the beginning when we come and we take that connective tissue, call it hamstring if you want, and we take like 5 centimeters of the hamstring and we stretch it into 7 centimeters. Oh, this is great pain. But you come and you do it like for every day, and then the 7 centimeters, it starts to feel like discomfort, just a mild discomfort. So the body starts to get used to it. All the time, the piece of fiber could stretch from 5 to 7. It's just that now the 5 to 7 is less painful. So like that, we slowly build it more and more. But there is also growth over there that happens, yeah? And this is when the body starts to understand that we ask to be like more flexible, and then the muscle fibers getting longer, they build more sarcomere parts, yeah? And it's part of the muscle getting longer by it, and the connective tissues around, they become more, they increase range of motion, and the elasticity of it, it becomes like, I want to say more pliable, like more easy to deform into a long shape, and then it's returned to it back, yeah? So we slowly like think about it like that. When you see it in the fascia illustrations, where sometimes there is a beautiful picture of it, that when you see like a grandfather sitting on the couch with a big belly, and they see there is like they show like the structure of his fascia, the collagen fibers. And the collagen fibers are disorganized. They look like, you know, like someone just like a 6 months baby tried to draw something, you know. And then the next picture, you can find it on Google, yeah. Just write elasticity and
I will find it and I will put it here.
Yeah. I can send it to you.
Okay.
You will see like a girl jumping rope. you know. And then they show hair fascia. Hair fascia looks like beautifully organized. Yeah, all the fibers, they are like, I don't know how you call it in English when everything.
Perpendicular or parallel.
I think is
Planes.
more parallel. Like I can find the word if
Well,
you
no
want,
worry, no
but
worry.
I will. Yeah, anyway, you will have the picture and you can see
Okay.
it. Yeah. Think about. You know what? I can give the best example. Think about this plastic wrap of the onions that you buy in the supermarket, which is like that, and it holds the onion. You know. So that one has elasticity, right?
see.
It's like it can expand itself, you know, like in different directions. So it's like it holds the onion in a certain way. So this is what, as a metaphor, yeah, this is how it's like shape our fascia within the body. So when we see it, our fascia is like that all the time. It's like disorganized, and obviously it will be harder to stretch something like that. So the more you go to do stretchings, slowly, the fascia will start to organize itself, yeah,
Better structures.
to a better structure.
And what
Fascia
is
remodeling again.
fascia remodeling? What there is a difference between elasticity and flexibility,
Yes.
or it's just the same word? Like
No, it's not the same word.
What is the difference?
So elasticity is, the definition of it is actually resistance to deformation. So if I have like a rubber band of like 10 centimeters, yeah, like that, of 10 centimeters, this is in its like, this is the rubber band in its natural form, yeah?
Yeah.
Now this is like what I would say 7 centimeters, something like that. Now I'm stretching it, I'm deforming it. But when I'm stretching it, I feel like something resisting inside. This is elasticity, the resistance to the deformation, okay? Now when I will leave one side, it will snap back to its original form. So it's reforming back to its original form. So this is like technically elasticity. Flexibility is like the range of motion, how much we can go. So for example, I can take an example. When you look at, what a good example. For example, let's say like, usually, I don't know why I want to say like a rubber girl again. So I bring the example of the rubber girl who we see sometimes like in the yoga studios where she can do everything,
Yeah.
back bends, she put the leg behind the head, she put the tailbone on the crown of the head from the back, you know, like all this kind of stuff. But she cannot hold stability, yeah? She cannot hold stability. And then you take like, for example, dancer, someone who she's like contemporary dancer,
Will be
talking
quite
about
flexible.
like professional,
Yeah.
she's very flexible, yeah, but she also have the strength, yeah. So she can control her flexibility much better. She has like a better elasticity over there. But if we take this dancer and say that she's also running, and she build a lot of elasticity in her body, she must have a great range of motion, just like a rubber girl or something like that, yeah? But when she's in it, she feels the elasticity. Something is calling to return back from it. There is like something that pulls you back, which is okay, it's good. This is the elasticity. So you can have a very deep or extreme range of motion, and you can also have elasticity, something that calls you back.
So
The other one is just like a deep, a very, very intense flexibility. Nothing calls back. There is no elasticity.
I
over
see
there.
that. Actually, I think all of us, we know someone that is like very skinny and very flexible. I am thinking about a few people that I met in my life that they are very like tall and skinny and flexible, but they are missing this quality as you describe of elasticity.
Yeah.
In the sense that it looks like they will, boom, like
Yeah,
that
in
they
a
don't have
way.
so much the resistance. No, I never
Yeah.
understood elasticity as you are saying. Like elasticity is the property of coming
Of
back,
fascia, yeah.
of stretching and coming back
Yeah.
to the
It's
same
what
form and shape.
resisted, yeah.
And we need that somehow to keep the form of, like, it's like having springs in our body.
Yeah,
We need them for coming back and recovering our our
yeah,
default
absolutely.
position.
Now think about like it's finally like elasticity. Well, you stretch the fascia. Yeah, the fascia, the collagen fibers, they're getting elongated and they build more long strand of of fascia fibers. Yeah, but if you also work on elasticity, like doing stuff like running and bouncing, all this kind of like very rapid movements that like promote elasticity, it will remodel the fascia collagens, the collagen fibers, to be in a more undulated fashion. Now think about something which is undulated fashion compared to something which is straight. Take like for example
A curly hair.
Huh?
Curly hair.
Yeah, take
You
a
know
curly
curly
hair.
hair?
Yeah, it's like it looks short, but when you like pull on it, oh,
It's long.
you have long. But compared to like a straight hair, where it's like this is what it is. Like you try to stretch it more, you will break it. You know. So basically, it builds like even a more resilient fascia. It means that if you move to that accidentally, let's say, we are moving into that like extreme range of motion because I don't know, like you twist the ankle. If you have like really good elasticity, the chance to create injury or a severe injury is less. Might be there will still be injury, but it will be less than someone who doesn't have elasticity.
So when we do exercises and we are bouncing instead of being in a passive stretch, let's say no, you are like bouncing.
Yeah.
That playing with bouncing is beneficial for our elasticity,
Yeah.
while passive stretching will be more beneficial for flexibility.
What we call plasticity. It's
Plasticity.
another property of fascia. So yeah, like that I mean, if you hold the stretch somewhere between like the 30, 40 seconds onwards and more than that, this is when we start to improve or build plasticity. It means like we go there, we feel that the body wants to come back, but we insist to stay there. We stay there for the 45 seconds, 60 seconds. We do it every day. Slowly, we start to build that range of motion. So we have the plasticity. Yeah? But we don't do elasticity. We don't bounce. So we will have only the plasticity. That's what we will have. But let's say I'm doing that also. I'm also stretching myself every day for 1 minute on that. So I'm building that plasticity. But at the same time, at the same day, at the same muscle, I'm bouncing on it. So I will have both. I will have the elasticity and I will have the plasticity. I will have the range of motion, yet I will have that resilience and energy that my body store inside. I mean, finally, the elasticity, it's when a material store energy within it. Think like the springs in a car. Yeah? You don't need to bring to it electricity or fuel or oil to make it function. It's a material that holds energy
Potential
within
energy.
it. Yeah, there is potential of energy within it. Yeah? So you don't need to spend energy on it. It's the same in our body. When we have it, I mean, like runners, they have like tons of elasticity, especially in the lower part of the body. Yeah? The more elasticity you have in the lower part of, not the more, but if you have the right amount of elasticity in your lower part of your body, you can run with less efforts, less muscle energy that
Yeah,
you need to spend.
I was thinking that if you struggle with elasticity, you will need to consume more energy for moving your body in general,
In
because
a
you will
way,
need
yeah.
to do double movements,
Yeah.
like one for extensions, another one's for contractions. While if you are elastic,
Yeah.
it will support part of the movement without the need of using your brain, or
Yeah.
using the fuel.
Yeah.
You are using just the spring.
You got it right.
I see.
So when you run, a lot of it is like the IT band. You know the IT band, yeah? It's like a band that's running here on the side of our leg, yeah? This is actually what helps us to run with less efforts.
And I am thinking about something. What are the difference? Because when I interview Fernando, he he promote moving like bouncing. Actually, it's not bouncing. He promote a joint movement. It's basically like what we need. He says moving our joints a lot.
Yeah.
with very little stress, like just moving a lot, you know, giving them movement. You don't have to go super crazy. It's like moving them, no, and finding your range of motion, the edges, and moving. So I would like to understand what, in terms of the impact that you are having in the body, what are the difference between bouncing or just moving. For example, when we are moving our shoulders up and down or with our neck, I wake up and I can do like circles, right?
Yeah.
Another movement completely different will be I can go down to the maximum and then I feel like a stretch.
Yeah.
What is happening that is different? There is something different in these movements?
Compared to bouncing.
Yeah, no, comparing when we feel the stretch with when we are just like moving.
Yeah, I would like to say that, as far as I understand it, every type of movement, every fashion of movement has a little bit different impact on our body. So if I'm moving something like that and I move my head, yeah, we can feel also some stretch a little bit,
Yeah.
But don't forget that these muscles, they're working all the day for us. The fact that our head is standing up like that and not like hanged on the side like that
They are
is because
active.
the muscles like holding it all the time. So these muscles are working all day for us. But yeah, when we move a joint, when we move it a lot, obviously the movement will be better. There is, thanks God, compared to this rubber band, if you stretch the rubber band all the day, at some point it will degrade. You will lose the elasticity, and then this is when you cannot make a bun with your hair with the rubber band anymore. Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
like you need to switch to another one. Well, in your body, it's actually also can happen, but you will have to be at the gym 12 hours per day. Yeah, like to really to exert your body to the point. Yeah, so but no one doing it because we also have feelings of tiredness, and then we go and we take a rest. But compared to that, our body is actually have that because it's a living organism, so it's always regenerate itself.
Let me be more precise in how I make the question. Like, I feel there are like I can feel two different type of movements. One will be when I go to my maximum range of motion. You can do it with your fingers, or you can do it with this will be maximum range of motion. And then here I can stay here. I feel like a stretch. And another one will be moving my fingers like this. So basically, my joints are moving all the time. In terms of what is happening different, like because there is by moving our joints a lot, we are we improving also like the it feels like you are hydratating your joints, like
Yeah,
less resistance in this.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is like will improve joints, and when it comes to ankylosing spondylitis, it, I guess, to my lack of information and understanding, I guess it should improve it because it's like finally it's inflammation in the within the joint,
Yeah.
and if you will move it, probably it will do good with that, as I understand. So we want to improve some mobility. If I just move it like that, yeah, I will improve joint mobility. It means that the joints will be able to move better. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
will
feel- it
improve
feel like-
the tissues within the joint.
Uh-huh.
Versus like stretching it. Here I'm stretching like different structures, like the muscles and the tendons over here
Yeah.
that I'm stretching. So yeah, it's like I would like to say when you move like that, it will, to my understanding, it will make the joints move better.
Yeah, this is something that I would like to get deeper because I feel there is some benefit for us in that type of exercise. Like yoga, for example, is beneficial, but sometimes I am missing more joint movement.
Exactly.
There are not enough repetitions.
Yeah.
You know, because they are quite slow. So it's good for stretching, but it's not the same that doing 100 times. You know, imagine that you have a
Yeah.
door and you open, close, open, close, open, close, open,
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
You're not trying to improve the range.
Yeah.
Just to make it lighter, to make
Yeah.
it more like Yeah, more hydrated or more like with
Yeah,
oil.
You make the tissues in this area in our body. You make them okay. You teach them that okay. You need to move.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn how to move and to move better. Yeah. In the case of the door, you will probably have to put oil in the hinges every now and then. Yeah, to make it move smoothly because finally the oil degrades. But here in your body, you eat food and this is like actually what hydrates it. So yeah, it will grow and it will grow to be better movement inside the joint. It will be probably more fluid and more hydrated, better glide on the between the cartilage. Finally, joint is like when cartilage moving against cartilage. Yeah, collagen type 2 we call it. It's like the surface of the end of the bone. Like if this is a bone, at the end we have the cartilage, and then there is another bone. They come here and they create like a joint for us.
Yeah.
So there is cartilage here and cartilage here, and the cartilage allows smooth movement. And then in between the joint capsule, yeah, there is like the joint capsule, what encapsulated the joint. And within that, we have also the synovial fluid, which is like the fluid that it's like the oil that you put in the hinge of the door, yeah? So it will help it to move better and smoothly. So in other words, I would like to say it will promote smooth movement within the joints.
Yeah. I think that's the key for the type of what we need to find for us. Because, I mean, improving range of motion is always good, you know, for everyone. But what we want is not to have pain. And pain sometimes is not at the edges of range of motion. It can be in the middle. Like literally you feel the of the door in every step.
Yeah.
At the end, even more. So there is something there of finding which are the right practices for that, you know?
You know, when you say it, it's just like lighting the bulb for me when I think about it. And when I think after that you spoke with, what his name? Fernando. And because he also someone who has it, and from his experience, he says like this movement has helped him a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
So if I would have to build a class, let's call it a yoga class if you want, I don't know, or just call it like, I don't know, like your physical activity, yeah, 1 hour of physical activity, I would take like, let's say, probably 20 minutes of like moving the joints, because this is also a great way also to warm up. So move every joint in your body, just 20 minutes, like you move every joint, like, yeah, like if it's the elbow, if it's the shoulder, if it's the fingers, the wrist, every joint, like you really like scan the body from toes to head, every joint you bring it to movement to warm it up. Then after that, I would do some elasticity, like this bouncing. This is when you bounce on the muscles. And then at the other 20 minutes, I would work on plasticity, which is like holding for a long time.
Look,
you understand?
I understand.
Kind of like, you know what I'm saying here, what I'm suggesting here. Like, you have more like a whole practice. You don't have to do it like that. You can do it like maybe, I would say, first of all, what Fernando suggests is like do it every day. Again, I'm not a doctor or something, but it's like, it's kind of what my feelings and according to my understanding of the human body, telling me like, okay, that's something that someone who have ankylosing spondylitis, you want to do it every day, I guess, like to move the joints, yeah.
Yeah, because if not, it feels, imagine having the door, it literally feels like having a door in front of the ocean. Every morning, you get like salt. Our body feels like it's putting salt into the door every morning.
Yeah.
So if you move it every day, no problem. But if you are 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days without moving,
it's like it starts to,
that's what you
start
feel.
to get more stiff and more like hard to move. Yeah, I see.
And what the approach that you say sounds amazing, because by first doing when you are moving your joints in this way, you are activating your muscles because you are, if not, you can't move, and you are bringing hydratation and disinflammation to every joint of your body.
Yeah.
Later with the bounce, you are exposing your body to new range of motions, but for a fraction of time. So somehow you get used to without the limitation of the beginning, that is, my joint is not hydrated and
Yeah.
not moving.
Yeah.
Because if you bounce from the beginning, you will find a limit very fast, you
Yeah.
know? And then once you have been doing the bouncing, so you have you explore like farther range of motion and it's active and you are bringing many repetitions, that's key. That's why I don't think yoga is the best practice for us. I mean, always I suggest combining, no? But that's something that I see in yoga that is not perfect for us. And then using that final step for the passive stretching, because at that moment you have a good range of motion, you warm up, your joints feels good. That sounds like a very good practice.
It's yeah.
That sounds like a really good practice. Yeah. And okay, I have one interesting question. When you are doing your exercise and we are getting into this 7 out of 10, let's say, of pain.
Okay.
Normally I feel that if I am in 6 out of 10, I can be relaxed with that pain. But then there is a point that my I get like a contraction. And then I can go to 7 or to 8. But in reality, I am contracted. You know, all my body saying like,
Yeah.
and you can go to 8 or to 9. What is in reality better? Like, where do we gain more benefits?
This is the sweet point. I would say between
Between.
that.
So some
like,
contraction is good?
Look, a lot I've learned about flexibility is the ability to surrender to it and to let go of it. Now it's kind of like the sweet point between because you need to pull, like you hold your leg and then you pull yourself into it, you know, and then like okay, and okay, here is the sweet point, but here I'm soft and my body I can still breathe nicely, you know. There is discomfort, let's call it number 6, area zone 6, you know, I'm here. But then I want to take a little bit more and I reach to 7. And at 7, I start to feel like the muscle is a little bit contracted. It's just like the beginning of it. You know, it's just start to, not to 8. We're just from 6, even to 6.5, okay, call it. And then the muscle is like contracted. At that time, when the muscle is contracted, try to surrender to it. See if the muscle can relax itself. If you can relax the muscle, if you can, because finally it's your order. You can, as much as you activate a muscle to flex it, to lift something, the same way you can relax it. Yeah? So let's say you move towards the 6, where over there you're still soft and nice, and you still stretch, but the muscle is like not contracted. And then you move towards the 7, and then muscle contraction. Usually it will come also with contraction of the breath. Yeah. Try with the help of the breath to exhale, preferably through the nose, long exhales, because long exhales through the nose, it's like making us more relaxed. It moves us towards, it increased parasympathetic tone, yeah? So it makes us more loose and relaxed. So if we move there, I'm at 7, the muscle contracted, and then I'm like, I learn how to breathe there, how to relax, even though there is pain. I slowly teach my muscle and my brain to do not get, what's the word? To do not be, what's the word? To do not be stressed and tense. This is the word, tense.
Tense.
To do not be tense
By that signal.
at level 7. Just by signal. So you teach yourself and your muscles and the nervous system to be in that new range of motion with more ease.
So, do you think then forcing maybe too much, it can be not beneficial? Like, if I am going to 8 or to 9, but I am having a lot of pain and a lot of contraction, maybe in reality I am not improving so much my range of motion, no? Like maybe it's better what you say, like moving from 6 to 630 or to 650 to 7, little by little, and learning how to tolerate that feeling.
Yeah.
Instead
I would say
right?
go it like that. Yeah, make a ladder with the most small steps. I think will be better.
Is maybe what you say before, flexibility tolerance, or you use
Yeah,
something.
stretch tolerance.
Stretch
yeah.
tolerance.
Yeah.
Like to improve our stretch
Yeah.
tolerance.
Because at 8, to relax the breath and to untense the muscle, to move yourself.
What will be a
from-
good breath? Like in terms of how many seconds in, how many seconds out will be a good timing.
If you can, try to cross the 30 seconds, 40 seconds
But breathing?
with breathing. Oh, no, how long to breathe?
Yeah, no. In the position, let's say 1 minute or more than 40 seconds.
Yeah.
But my breath, how many seconds in, how many
Oh.
seconds out?
That's a good question. First, well, part of it depends on like lung capacity. We know that woman has less volume than male. If you're a swimmer, you have more volume. If you're a diver, you have really like a lot of free diver. You have a lot of volume, So it really depends on that. But I would like to say like average. I guess it should be like somewhere around like not less than 4 seconds.
Not less
I
than
would
4
say,
seconds.
yeah, not less than 4 seconds.
I did an online course about passive stretching that was really good course. And he talked that the keys are one concept that he called wet noodle.
How?
Wet noodle.
Okay.
So when you are stretching, in passive stretching, not bouncing, not moving our joints, but just in a fixed position, become a wet noodle. So it's like, imagine that you are a spaghetti and you are wet. You want to be like loose,
Yeah.
relaxed,
Yeah.
not a tense noodle.
Yeah.
You have to be a wet noodle, because when you are wet, is when you can stretch the spaghetti. Imagine if it is wet, you can
Yeah.
make
It's
it.
more pliable.
It's more pliable. Yeah,
Pliable, it's like more easily stretched.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can really stretch it, no?
Yeah.
And the other one was for achieving that, two concepts. One, understanding that 50% of our limitation is not our tissues, it's our nervous system. So we are stretching our nervous system, and our nervous system is saying like, because it's not used to, but it's not risky. So 50% of the feeling is that.
Yeah.
So allow that, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know, like, this is safe. It's intense, but it's safe.
Yeah.
The other one, he was explaining 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out.
Sounds amazing.
And it's quite.
It's not easy.
No, 8 seconds can be sometimes like, if your lungs, they are not so big, as you mentioned, it can be difficult, but around that. And also I recommend the ocean breath.
Oh, the ujjayi, like when you make sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you make that sound? Like, what is the, or
It's
what do you
like when
think
you
about?
constrict you constrict the glottis muscles. Think like you're in front of the mirror and you say, you want to fog the mirror to write I love you.
I see.
Yeah, so just do it with the mouth closed. There is sound. Yeah. Now, technically, this sound depends how we alter the sound. If we make like very loud sound,
And create tension.
that can increase sympathetic tone, more the side of the tone of the nervous system, which makes us more tense. If we make it more loud, less loud, like nearly silently, but you still feel it, and you breathe longer, that can move us more towards maybe parasympathetic. I want to say, that's what I've learned, and when I've learned, I applied it in my practice, and I found
I feel
to
it
be
too.
true. If I do like very loud sound, I'm like more alert. I build more heat. I sometimes over breathe because it makes me breathe more. Yeah. But when I'm doing it like more soft sound, less loud, maybe a little bit longer breath, I'm also not over breathing, but also I feel more relaxed over there.
I think that's a great sweet spot, or a good definition. You also when you try to do it too loud, you put a lot of restriction. So your lungs are doing more pressure. So
Yes.
you are activating your diaphragm,
Muscles.
many muscles for pushing.
Push.
So I don't think that's beneficial.
Yeah.
And
You make more bottleneck.
Yeah. And yeah, also I'm sure you know this, but a general rule is that for relaxing, to do longer exhalations than inhalations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because if we want to relax, somehow exhalation should be longer, so we are releasing that energy, no?
Yeah, we can feel it. Like when you inhale fast, it's like increase more heart beating, make them faster. So when you inhale, it's more sympathetic nervous system. When you exhale, it's more parasympathetic nervous system. If you exhale for longer time, it will slow down the heart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it relaxes us. It's a tool
To regulate yourself.
to regulate your nervous system and your state of being.
I see. And one more thing, one benefit that I experienced by doing the ocean, how do you call it? You put another name. For the
In Sanskrit, they call it Ujjayi.
Ujjayi.
Yeah, it's like Ujjai. This is Ujjayi. It means victorious breath.
Okay. With the Ujjayi breath, I see one benefit also as a beginner, that it can be easier to focus on your breath when
Yeah.
you hear your breath. Because if you are in silence and you don't hear, you have to put a lot of attention. And if it is your first time, probably at some point you will be like, and you
Yeah.
don't notice, you know? You're like,
Yeah.
but if you hear your breath, you at some point you are
You can
really
focus
you
on it.
focus on that. It becomes like a music that you are playing yourself, like the ocean, and you can be 10-15 minutes with that, and you get into a really good deep state.
That's the benefit of the loud Ujjayi, the loud ocean breath. It's easier to focus on because you have louder sound.
Yeah,
And you're the one who initiated it, so it's like, it keeps you busy.
exactly.
When you just breathe regularly, breathing you're doing all the day, so it's easier to lose the breath.
Yeah.
But when you are initiate and constrict the glottis and make that sound, focus on it, you have something that makes you like more busy with it,
Yeah.
Soft Ujjayi will be a little bit harder. The sound is lower, so it will be a little bit harder to listen and to hear it and to focus on it. So here's some advantages, here's some advantages. I would say like soft Ujjayi, especially during physical practice, usually it's more challenging
The soft one.
than loud Ujjayi. Yeah,
You see.
at least as I found in my practice.
And one more thing, today I'm mentioning a lot Fernando, but he mentioned so many cool things that it's good to understand your perspective. He mentioned that it's very important, like, to be symmetric with our body. Like many times, for example, you go to the doctor, and the first thing that the doctor will tell you is you have to swim. Swim is amazing for the back pain. This is like the
Yeah.
what every doctor is going to tell you. Swim is good for you. But he say, if you go swimming and you are with a lot of difficulties in range of motion, and you are not symmetrical at all, like you have, imagine, like really a big gap between one side and the other one, that can create big imbalance during the practice. And swimming with one arm in one way and with the other one in another one can create problems, with exercise that are like swimming, or maybe with running, everything that is like very repetitive and need this symmetry. So I would like to ask you, first of all, what do you think about that, if it makes some sense for you? And second, in case that we discover an asymmetry, how can we reduce that? How can we get symmetry again?
Oh, first, I absolutely agree with it. I do it in my practice. I always sense that I'm dominant on my right side. The dominant side will always want to do more, or it will always be more dominant, And I found that it came when especially it came, with the handstands. This is when I found it like taking toll on me. It was like when I'm pressing up to handstand, so my right side is taking probably 70% of my body weight, while the left side feels like maybe 30 or even 20%, you know? And at some point, I started to feel some pain. I started to develop some pain because too much strain going to one side. I started to move more toward. You bring mindfulness. It's a practice of mindfulness. You have to bring mindfulness to the non-dominant side and to start to activate it. Finally, it falls also to neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. You build more neurons and more like you build more tissues in the non-dominant side.
Okay.
Yeah. To bring them to be completely balanced,
It's difficult.
I think there are only few in this world who can do it, you know,
Okay.
but most of us will not be able. But we can bring it more towards the balance. Complete balance, I couldn't do it.
Okay. But for example, let's say for example, my right hip have less flexibility than, no, sorry, my left hip have less flexibility than my right one. Normally, when I bring my knees to the chest, this one get closer than this one.
Yeah.
So when I am doing exercise of hip, should I add more repetitions or more seconds, or that can be bad, or it's just to be conscious about that?
That's a good question. I used to do it, like bring more, emphasize more on the side, which is like, you know, I couldn't, in terms of flexibility, actually, yes. Yeah, I saw better results. In terms of, I would say yes, but don't be too rigid about it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be too rigid because, yeah, it's like you don't try to balance them. So you don't try to reduce the other one and to increase one. Try to grow with both of them while one side, maybe, I don't know, it's like, again, like, as far as I can understand, try to bring more
More speed of growth.
more mindfulness.
More
Try
mindfulness.
to develop, because what is happening when we are less conscious about it, our energy division is more going to the dominant side. I would say let's just try to divide our energy, so we divide our energy like more equally to both sides. Yeah, maybe it's time. Sometimes I want to say, yeah, maybe do a little bit more on the dominant side,
Yeah.
at least at the beginning, to catch it up a little bit, to strengthen it.
Both
you know?
things.
Yeah, both things.
You know what I am discovering every day, things about my body that I didn't know. I never pay attention about which side was, and right now, if I sometimes I forget, like I want to do a list of which are the areas that right now I have less mobility, and when I am, now that I am training with more consciousness and more mindful, and also like without a goal, like just checking my body, you know, I'm trying different positions, and I'm like, oh, here I'm not going so far.
Yeah.
And then I go to the other side and it's like, whoa, here, yes, you know? And just that awareness, as you say, is the beginning of the change.
Yeah.
Because that start to change your position, the awareness itself, I think it can be 70%.
There is a phrase saying, energies flows where the intentions goes. You know, like something like that. So it means if you bring your intention to some area of your body, there will be like more energy over there.
Yeah.
You direct your energy. And Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I guess like he's very popular today. Like, I mean, like he's the one who proved it, that we can move. There is benefits of like traveling in the body with our mind, you know, like there is benefits to it. So if we develop our mindfulness and if we divide our mindfulness to the non-dominant side, we will be able to find something new
Yeah.
that we yet discovered.
Yeah. So, Edian, I would like to summarize, because we have been talking a lot about many things. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting. We have been talking at
It
the
was a
beginning.
pleasure.
Oh, the same for me. We start with the fascias.
Yeah.
The orange example explode my head. Like I never realized we are a fucking orange.
Well, it's not me. I mean, like I just learned it from someone.
Well, but you, thanks to you, you are synthesizing many sources of knowledge. You know that you have been putting time and energy for developing that knowledge, and by talking with you, we are having like a fast track. Let's say, accessing that knowledge specifically in the areas that is more interesting for what I am looking for. Um, and it has been super cool to talk with you.
Yeah, it was pleasure and honor, I have to
Same.
say, and also a privilege to be here. And yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. Like I could continue actually.
No, because they are
I
saying
could
that we need to
continue.
leave.
Yeah, we have to go. But yeah, I could continue. Like at least I don't know. I love to speak about it. Yeah.
I see, and you have a lot to say. So we talk about the fascias. Also, I highlight what you mentioned about the how to approach a routine exercise, like 1 hour of exercise. That 3 steps, I will experiment with that, starting with joint mobility, later bouncing, and later more passive stretching. The breathing techniques for relaxation. Um, I don't know. Right now we cover like so many things, but these are the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
There is something else that you would like to add, or we can finish here.
I would just say, like just move. Just move. We're born to move. As a hunter and gatherers, we will have to, I mean, averagely, they say like they used to hunt for like 4 hours per day or searching for food, and the rest of the time they used to socialize. So if you move every day, and we meant to roam the nature as is, climbing rocks, climbing trees, climbing mountains, walking to the ocean, and like whatever it is, like we meant to do that. We were not built, or our body was not programmed to walk on pavements, sit on chairs, all this kind of furnitures, which is okay. I'm not saying something against it, Let's use the comfort that we have today, but consciously, with wisdom, with sense, like learn a little bit more about it, and know that if we don't move, we decay. This is a fact. And yeah, what life would be if we would all the time could sit in front of Netflix and do anything, and we would be healthy like that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be motivated. We would be like absolutely demotivated to life, just like being like numbed, like a sloth, like all the time hang. So, but we are not sloths. We are humans, and we still have that, like,
Actually, it's very interesting what you say, that motivation, because the same way that when we don't eat, we feel hungry, and that's motivating us to eat.
Yeah,
When we don't move, we feel pain,
yeah.
and that's your body telling you like,
This is the expression of
come on.
energies. In yoga, they call it like the rajas, tamas, and sattva, we can say. So one is like yang, the other is yin, the other one is like balance between them. So we can say like, yeah, right now you are like hungry, so you become more alert, pay attention to it. If when you're hungry, this is when your brain functions the most, like the best. Your body can function better. Like I see people eating before. I used to do it also, eating before going to work out. It's actually not good, like you will function much better. Your body will function much
With empty
better
stomach.
if you eat like, like if you work out on empty stomach, yeah, put it like that. And an empty stomach, it means like at least 2 to 3 hours of not eating. So this is the time when we become more rajas, yang, more active, more dominant, like this is the energy. You spend this energy, you express this energy. After that, what comes? The tamas, the energy of like, like now you've done it, now it's the time to rest, now it's the time to recover, now it's the time you can sit down on your whatever, on your couch and enjoy Netflix, like, knowing that you earned it, knowing that you deserve it, actually. Leave the earn, it's like more deserve it. And yeah, and hopefully after that will also come the sattva time, which is like a time of just like be. Well, this is a different concept, but let's play between like this rajas and tamas. And same here with the practice. You go to practice, you walk out, you go to recover. You go to eat after you got your food. Okay, you've done all the work to get your food, which today it's not a big deal. Yeah, you just go out and go to some restaurant, especially here in beautiful
Very easy.
Kopangan, so easy, you know. But maybe in different life, it's you need to go down to the supermarket and then to cook to yourself, whatever it is. Like so, you need to act. You need to act in order to eat. And once you eat, what do? You rest and digest, parasympathetic nervous system. So, yeah, that's life. And if we understand that the energies of life every time express themselves differently, and we always move between that yang to yin to yang to yin, yang yin, yang yin, yang yin. This is life.
Like cycle.
This is like, you know, this is how it works. It cycles, yeah.
Mhm. So let's learn how to use these two energies in our lives to
Yeah.
find balance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, it was such a pleasure to be
For
here.
me too.
Yeah, and honored. Thank you very much. Namaste.